So game one of Jimmy Butler with the Philadelphia 76ers in the books. It didn't go so well for the 76ers, but of course it is still early. Fellas, this is the first time we got a chance to break down this Jimmy Butler deal. What are our initial impressions here? Can this work? Does this trade put the Philadelphia 76ers in the top tier in the Eastern Conference? Let's start with you, Chris.
It's a major boomer bust deal, but I think it's something that the Sixers had to do.
Yeah, it's worth the risk.
I don't mind it.
It's worth the risk, and I think Brett Brown is the right guy to try and find that balance between guys. But it's going to be interesting because Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, and Joel Embiid, they're ball-dominant guys. You know, Ben Simmons thrives when he can control an offense with the ball in his hand. Jimmy Butler is the same way. Joel Embiid, his usage rates are through the roof. They always are, and rightfully so. So finding that balance with those guys is going to be really interesting. I don't know how it'll work on the offensive end, but in terms of defense, they're going to be really strong in that category. I don't think there's a question about that.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty fascinating situation over there now. I think if you're the Sixers, I don't think they gave up anything that they were not willing to part with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they kept Embiid, they kept Simmons.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, they had to keep Fultz.
Kept Markelle.
I'm sure they tried to get rid of him, but they had no choice.
Yeah.
Now
Please, just take him. Take him off our hands,
the bench
please.
brigade. But, yeah, I mean, what I'm most interested to see is how Jimmy Butler handles playing with another young team, because we've already seen
it went well
how
the first
time. How it went in Minnesota.
That's right.
So, hey, come on over to Philly, where, oh, by the way, we have a guy who's doesn't want to take three-pointers, and we have another guy who can't even take free throws.
Also,
so try not to get frustrated, by the way.
No kidding. I can't imagine he's going to be the most sympathetic guy.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
say he walks into practice and Markelle Fultz is pump faking free throws. You think he's going to be like, oh, good for him, good for him. I don't see him being the kindest teammate in that regard.
I put the over-under on, like, days until Markelle Fultz just quits basketball because of Jimmy Butler at like 3 weeks. And he's probably crying by
You're going to see like
Saturday.
a big baby Kevin Garnett situation? Is that what you're trying to say, Jimmy? You think Jimmy Butler's going to get in him?
I want him to succeed. I feel bad. He looks like a lost little kid when he gets on the court.
The equivalent is us being like, every time we talk is just to be like,
just a pump fake or just like start to walk off the stool.
I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, but fellas, I don't know, man. A big part of me feels like Jimmy Butler wants this to work just as much as Philly wants it to work, because he wants to prove himself, and he wants to prove that he's able to contribute and come up big with the playoff contending team. I mean, let's face it here, Minnesota Timberwolves, I mean, for him to get traded to a team like the Philadelphia 76ers, where of course he's in the Eastern Conference, he's going to the playoffs, no question, and now he has a chance to push this team to, I don't know, let's say the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, just for sake of argument. That's a success in his head while he's trying to earn a huge contract come next summer.
Sure, I think talent-wise, obviously, when they acquired Butler, they're better. But I think Jimmy Butler's very close to being labeled a bad leader, if he isn't already labeled that. So this would be extremely helpful, not only to the Sixers, but to him, to kick that label and to put some wins together here. And now, roster-wise, we think that the Sixers are now a top contender in the East. But they're going to have to prove it. They're going to have, like you said, they're going to have to gel. They're going to have to figure out who's going to, carry the ball more than the other, who's going to take that shot. And who's going to make that extra pass.
Yeah, and you mentioned a potential matchup with the Celtics. This trade does have pretty big implications for them. And last year, at least, with Jason Tatum, the Celtics feasted on Robert Covington, who is a particularly pretty good 3-and-D guy.
Yeah.
But trading him for Jimmy Butler is a massive upgrade on the defensive end. Obviously, he's going to be a much tougher defensive matchup for Jason Tatum if he is on Tatum come playoff time. Next time they play, when they play on Christmas Day, whatever. But I think losing Covington really helps them in a defensive category and hurts the Celtics just because they feasted on him.
I can't help but think, that game one was in their minds. Okay, if we face the Celtics, it's not looking good. Even though it is early in the season, if we have a chance to upgrade our roster in November and then move forward and be ready to take on the Celtics come playoff time, let's take a risk and let's bring in someone like Jimmy Butler. Someone who can play, obviously, strong defense on one end, can guard Kyrie Irving, and also perform on the other end of the floor offensively, gives them a closer. Because you remember, Jimmy, that was my whole thing about Philadelphia. Even heading into that best-of-7 series against the Celtics, I said, listen, Philadelphia may have some weapons there that could challenge the Celtics, but they do not have a closer. Now they do.
Good for the Sixers, good for the Celtics rivalry, so it should be fun.
Let us know in the comment section. Hit us up, CLNS Media. Celtics Sixers, is the rivalry officially back here? How good are the Sixers now with Jimmy Butler in the mix? Because it wasn't a rivalry before, especially if you ask Joel Embiid, just like last season he said. Let us know what you think in the comment section on YouTube here at CLNS Media.